Welcome, everyone. I think everyone's in from the waiting room now. Yeah. Well, hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie Fortunato. I go by she, her pronouns, and I'm the director of Providence's Department of Art, Culture, and Tourism. And I am joined today by Gina Rodriguez-Drix.
Hey everybody, how are you? I'm the Cultural Affairs Manager over at ACT. It's nice to see you all.
And I'm so glad to see so many familiar faces and some new ones as well. This is the pre-bid conference for an RFP that we have open for our project manager to help support our capital improvement project public art projects. And we have just a short agenda today with some time to take questions. We can use the chat function for questions. They should be written. We will be providing answers to these questions as an addendum to the RFP. And as a reminder, we will be, the purchasing department should be contacted for all questions about accessing the pieces of the RFP. So today we're going to give a short presentation to give you some context on this opportunity and where it fits into the Department of Art, Culture, and Tourism, our work in the ACT Public Art Initiative that we oversee with our Art and City Life Commission. We're going to go over the specifics of this RFP and then talk through some of the deadlines. Does that sound good? All right. So the City of Providence is doing something incredibly exciting right now, and this project is part of that. And that is that we are addressing an ordinance that has been on the books in the city since 1980, the Art and City Life Ordinance, which is also known as the Percent for Art Ordinance. This was something that the community called for the department to really activate in 2009 when we did our first cultural planning process. In 2016, we established the first Art and City Life Commission. So that's our public art commission that oversees the application of this ordinance and our public art programs. And in 2017, we took on a public art master planning process that really outlined the steps for implementing the Art and City Life Ordinance. So this is a really exciting historic moment for us. And just so if you're not familiar with Percent for Art projects, although you're all here at the project manager pre-bid conference, so I hope that you are, you know that the construction projects that the city takes on, the capital investments that we are making are the eligible projects for this Percent for Art application. The city actually is in a moment in which we are making major investments in our capital infrastructure throughout our parks, throughout our neighborhoods. The Public Works Department is taking on massive new construction projects, really bringing our infrastructure up to 21st century standards and really thinking about resiliency in new ways, because these investments will be here long after the projects have been completed. And we are really excited to let you know that we have a little more than 1% that has been dedicated from the total CIP project budget to art. So we have a little bit more than $1 million, which is also an incredible investment in our artist community and in public art for our city. Our ACT Public Art Master Plan, so the Art and City Life Plan, outlines 4 trajectories for commissioning public art. And so there are 2 trajectories that the CIP funded projects will help move forward. We have 4 trajectories though, just so folks know. Temporary works, so the PVD Fest commissions that some of you may be familiar with that are commissioned usually annually are part of that temporary commissioning process. We've done a public art ideas competition, allowing artists to really submit ideas to be installed in our public realm. The Woonasquatucket River Greenway Arts projects fell under that. So we take on temporary projects as a way to really activate our public spaces in the short term. We're also working with several artists who are in residencies with other city departments and community organizations. So currently we have an artist that is working with sustainability, building resilience hubs. We have an artist that's working in the Providence Housing Authority in Hartford Park, a muralist. We are working with 5 community health workers in community-based organizations. There are artists who are living in 2 houses that are in neighborhood parks, our Parkists in residence. So this is another one of the trajectories from ACT Public Art. We also have a landmark public artwork trajectory. And so these are signature works of art. There's sort of 2 program types: capital city landmark projects and then neighborhood-based projects. And so the CIP will allow us to commission 1 landmark public artwork that really will become an iconic symbol of the city of Providence. We hope that will serve as a meeting place, a gathering place in the future when we can all be together again, something that really responds for locals and visitors alike. So yeah, this is, I mean, I can't say enough. I'm going to stop talking about that, but we are very excited to be here at this moment and very excited to bring on a project manager to help us really activate this Art and City Life ordinance. This kind of just gives you an idea of what we're thinking about when we think about landmark public art. We're thinking about those public artworks that you almost identify with the places where they are, right? So of course, these are all different scales, but we have the Cloud Gate, the Anish Kapoor in Chicago. That's something that I think we all kind of think about when we think about landmark public artwork. We have the Big Blue Bear. I love him, actually. I know there's lots of feelings about that, but I love that from Denver at the convention center there, peeking in the windows. Something that you want to take that picture of when you're in Denver. And then I also, you know, the Love Square Park, you know, that is such a small piece, and yet you can't visit Philadelphia without wanting to go and have your picture taken with that. And, you know, think about that project, which was first commissioned for the bicentennial celebrations, how it has evolved over time from that temporary installation to really being an iconic landmark work for the city of Philadelphia, even at that less monumental scale than some of the other works. Our 4th trajectory also that we'll be moving forward with this CIP projects are civic infrastructure projects. And so these are public artworks that we are integrating into other departments' projects, other departments' infrastructure projects. This is an opportunity for us to really make sure that there's site specificity of artworks when we're creating new buildings. And these projects will be of all different scale, but it's also a way for us to engage, you know, other disciplines, other sectors in conversations about the value and contributions of public art. And for this round, the CIP projects, we will be doing, they'll be doing some sidewalk repair. And so the project manager will be overseeing a sidewalk tattoo project that will be released shortly. So the calls for public art have been developed by the Art and City Life commissioners, excuse me. There's a CIP subcommittee who has developed those calls, and we will be releasing them publicly. We will not be sharing details of those calls today, since that will be a competitive process, but we anticipate that those will be released publicly next week. And Gina will talk a little more about the timelines, but I just want to say we're excited to bring on a project manager about the same time that those projects are coming together, so that the project manager will be able to step in to be able to help manage that process. So we use a standard artist selection process. So our Art and City Life Commission, they're the ones who oversee the development of the program plans and approve the calls that are going out publicly. And they also oversee the artist selection process, in which we invite members of the public and art professionals to help us make this decision. The art selection panel will make a recommendation to the Art and City Life Commission to adopt, and that's how artists are awarded a contract. And Gina, do you want to talk about the specifics of this two-tiered process?
Sure. So as you can see, there are 2 tiers to the competitive process. There's an RFQ round and then an RFP round for most projects. So after we develop the call with any of our partner agencies, other departments within the city, and it's also approved by the Art and City Life Commission, we release the RFQ. And so we will ask artists to submit the qualifications for that particular project. The art selection panel will then whittle down that pool to a selection of shortlisted artists who are then invited to submit a full proposal for the artwork. The art selection panel then reviews those proposals and decides the awarded artists. That goes through the Art and City Life Commission again. So the Art and City Life Commission then also looks at the panel's recommendation for that artist. And once it's approved, then it comes back to us and we engage and contract that artist. So there are a series of administrative steps that go along with all of those pieces. So we are really looking for the project manager to take on a lot of that administrative support in frankly pushing that paper through the pipeline of the many different places and people that need to take a look at it. Should I continue, Stephanie? Is that?
Why don't you? Yeah.
Okay, so this bid that's out right now is for a project manager for the capital improvement public art project. So as Stephanie said, we have these particular projects through the landmark public art trajectories and the civic infrastructure projects that are funded by the capital improvement bond and other sources. Those are the projects that will fall under this public art manager. ACT will still be running project calls for our other trajectories, including temporary projects and public art residencies. So this role is really a supportive personnel to kind of help our department move through the various calls that are happening in the next 12 months or 18 months. So it's a really exciting opportunity to come on board, to work with us and to really help shape this application of the ordinance. Again, the calls have already been developed, so it's less around sort of the ideation or the decision making or the selection process. It's really about supporting our team to be able to move these projects along on the timeline that we need to move. It's an 18-month-long contractual opportunity for $75,000 with the possibility of renewal. So we're really excited to be able to provide an opportunity for an individual or a firm to work with our team for a relatively, sizable contract and timeline. So how to access the RFP. We want to help you all not feel like this is daunting. I know a bid and a municipal bid is not a fun process. I can do my best now to walk you through what this looks like and point you in the right direction to certain folks who can answer certain questions. There are parameters involved and there's certain protocol involved that we can only answer direct questions related to the scope of work, but other questions will go to other city departments. So just to make that clear upfront, we can take a look at that now. So the bids are going to be opened on March 1st. If you go to the first link here where it's available online and you scroll down to Art, Culture, and Tourism, you'll see the first link is the bid itself, and then any addendums will be added there. So when we do an FAQ at the end of this meeting today, and then through the written comment period for questions, that'll be added right there onto that link. So when you go to that first link, you can see Arts, Cultural, Tourism, and all the links related to this RFP will be there. And then the direct link to the RFP is also below. So you can see there's both. Oh, you can't see my cursor. You can only see Stephanie, sorry. Oh. You can see that you can go to the main page or go to the direct link to the RFP.
Do you need me to go there, Gina? Or can I?
No, it's fine.
You'll find it.
Can we go to the next?
Yep, there you go.
All right, here's the thing on questions. If you're open the bid package and you see there's 8 pages of bureaucratic forms up front. We can't answer any questions about those bureaucratic forms. So you gotta ask Patty Jordan over in purchasing, and her contact information is there. This is all on the first page of the bid packet. If you have questions related to the Minority and Women's Business Enterprise Program, you gotta talk to Grace Diaz, and that's her contact information there. Any questions relative to the specifications outlined in the RFP can come to me, but they have to come in writing. So again, today, if you have a question right now, you can pop it in the chat. We are going to save the chat. Any questions that we can answer now, we'll do our best to answer, but we will also post the questions and the answers by February 22nd on that bid page that we just showed you the link to. And then this, I just want to stress this. The bids have to come in hard copy. So please don't send anything in email to anybody. They have to be either brought to City Hall or mailed by the deadline, by 2:15. And it is timestamped because it'll be opened at the Board of Contract and Supply right at 2:15. So it has to come into the building by then on March 1st. And again, all of this information is on the bid packet. I just want to stress that it's paper and it's 3 copies in City Hall.
The Board of Contract and Supply meeting, there's a good part of it that is dedicated to opening the mail.
Literally.
Very interesting if anyone has ever participated in those.
All right. Eligibility, qualifications, and scope of work. So this is open to anyone in the United States who is a professional arts administrator or a firm. So you can apply as a team or as an organization. We're really looking for someone with demonstrated curatorial experience and public art management expertise. It would be great if you can also demonstrate your familiarity with local, regional, and national public artists. We want to be able to see that you can provide technical assistance to public artists and also emerging artists who may not yet be a public artist, but if they are selected and they think that this particular artist is looking for some help in being able to scale up and to bring a project into the public realm, it would be great if you could demonstrate experience in supporting those types of artists. If you've ever worked with government and or private partners, that would be great to illustrate. And also an installation oversight. So, you know, any experience in working with a piece that's going to be built for the public realm under the elements and all of the things that come with that, that would be fantastic to demonstrate as much as possible and as clearly as possible. We are going to be giving preference to minority business enterprises and women-owned business enterprises, also to Rhode Island-based firms, and for bilingual applicants in Spanish and English. And we also have this note of very intentional welcome to BIPOC community members, women and gender nonconforming folks, and LGBTQIA community members to apply. So scope of work. Again, this is really a supportive role and a managerial role to manage these calls for art through all of those many processes, from call through commissioning the artist and supporting the artist all the way to install and unveiling the artwork. It's a lot of paper, a lot of preparation for communications, for contracts, for reports. It's also a lot of people management and speaking. So facilitating virtual information sessions for interested applicants for the calls that are released. Also speaking with the Art and City Life commissioners, our department, and the different city agencies and partners that we have related to these projects. It's also really important to show that you're able to kind of support an artist in their proposal development. So again, we have the RFQ round where we're going to get selected shortlist, and then the proposals from those shortlisted artists. So there will be questions coming from artists related to their proposal design. So there'll be a lot of negotiating and back and forth with different city departments to be able to answer those questions relatively quickly as folks are developing their proposals. And again, our staff and the management folks are not part of the decision-making around commissioning the artists so that we can help them develop those proposals, because it wouldn't be, you know, it's not cool if we like tell them how to develop a proposal and then vote on it. So we are not voting members on the panel. We are supportive of the artists. Can we go to next slide? Oh, actually, I didn't mention callforentry.org. We use callforentry.org, our cafe, for our public management, for our public art management system. So if anybody has familiarity with cafe, it would be great to mention that in your bid, because that is the national system that we use. Again, in supporting the artists in their designing their proposals, it's also facilitating technical review, helping them identify particular permits that might need to happen based on their proposal, identifying members of city government or others that they need to talk to in order to vet that proposal. It's also going to continue through fabrication and up into install. So there's lots of construction related questions that will likely come up throughout this process. This person would also support our team to inspect the final work and coordinate the scheduling for the installation. So that's working with folks who have ownership over the site as well as the artist on that piece. You're going to be managing project budgets and reporting the project status regularly to our staff and also to the Art and City Life Commission. And then also supporting the artist in creating a maintenance plan and a conservation plan for the installed artworks. And then there's probably going to be additional things that come up, or there will be additional things that will come up. So someone who can show that they are flexible and willing to pivot as things come up would be fantastic. And you'll be reporting to me and to Stephanie. We work really collaboratively as a team, so you'll be probably very quickly integrated in all of the things, ACT. So deliverables, the awarded public art manager would have to submit within 15 days of signing their contract a work plan. So the work plan should show us your community engagement strategy, your reporting structure, how you would, make sure that you stick to deadlines, that sort of thing. We are also going to be working with you to develop proposals and presentations, on-site educational tools to do that community engagement, both with the artists that are applying, the artists that are selected, and community members that want to know what's going on with this public art piece, what's the status, when is it coming, what does it look like, all of that. So it's a lot of communication, a lot of education, and along with the technical assistance piece.
Just to jump in here for just one sec to say that, I think there's going to be a lot of interest in both the sidewalks, which will happen all over the city, and this landmark public artwork. So I think we really are looking for someone who is comfortable communicating with all different groups and understanding that they need to adjust messaging to audience, from bureaucrats in other departments who may not be necessarily as interested in the aesthetic dimensions of the work, to artists in the community and other stakeholders.
So your bid materials, we would like a proposal of no more than 10 pages. If you bring it in print, if you can also bring a little flash drive or CD, it's not mandatory, but bringing it in PDF version would be fantastic. I'd just make it a little faster on the other end. There are more specific instructions as to each of these bullet points in the bid package itself, but please include a cover page, a table of contents, an executive summary, your contact information, and organizational experience. So firms should really speak about the roles of the different folks involved. Individual artist administrators might want to speak about subcontractors that they'll bring on to work with them, even if it's just one applicant. Your proposed project implementation. So there are details in the bid package about what that looks like, in your proposed budget. So we won't be looking at bids that exceed $75,000. So everything that you're doing has to be $75,000 or less. We are also not going to look at proposals. They will be deemed ineligible and not scored if they are proposing less than 1,000 hours of work over the course of 18 months. So please pay attention to that. It'll be awarded to the highest scoring qualified applicant with a maximum score of 120 points. We will develop and release a rubric on February 22nd along with the FAQ. So we'll attach that to the bid link there. And the scoring will be based on eligibility and qualifications in the implementation strategies that you're proposing, along with the cost of bid. Okay, we talked at you a lot. We're very much interested in answering any of your questions if we can. Anything that we can't answer, we will post up by February 22nd. You also have until February 16th to send me any additional questions in writing. And yeah, I think it would be great if you could use the chat function to type in your question, but do you think we can also talk, Stephanie, or should we just use the chat?
I think we could talk, although since we will be summarizing all of the questions, again, it is a help to us if you put your question in the chat in writing. And maybe we could use the raise hand feature, I guess, if anyone has any questions.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Oh, so hi, my name is Daxa Aurora. I was wondering, when you say 1,000 hours, are you looking at this as like a part-time based position?
This is a contract position. So we are looking for a contractor to propose a work plan that will meet the scope of work and to provide those deliverables over the course of 18 months. This is not a full-time position with the department. So let's, to be clear about that.
Right. So some weeks you may work 15 hours, some weeks you may work 20 hours.
It may fluctuate.
25, whatever, if it's a busy week.
That's right.
Okay. Thank you.
And you'll be coming on with the artists, right? So the project manager role is beginning at the sort of second part of our artist selection process here. So again, just thinking about the timeline for this work, the pieces that Gina went over about technical assistance and about working with the artists on the development of proposals, all the way through the installation that's going to happen. But we have an 18-month timeline for that. And there are multiple projects, again, to be managed.
Thank you.
All right, I see.
Josh Lapp has a question. Would the project manager or consultant be required to facilitate commission meetings or just meetings directly released to the procurement projects assigned to the consultant? Yep, so the Art and City Life Commission meets regularly, no less than 6 times a year. We have an annual meeting schedule up on Secretary of State, but they're open to the public, second Wednesday of the month at 5 p.m. And no, the project manager would not be responsible for facilitating the commission meetings. Those meetings already have a set of policies and protocols, but there's a great chance that presenting at those commission meetings to the full commission about status updates will be, happening regularly. And you would only have to speak to the projects that you are assigned to. It wouldn't be to the other projects we'll take care of.
And just so folks know too, I don't know that I mentioned this, but the Department of Agriculture and Tourism, we're a team of 5. So in addition to Gina and I, we have a deputy director, a special projects manager, and an arts education specialist. And so I don't think the consultants will be expected to, come to weekly staff meetings, but we will organize regular check-ins with the consultant or consulting team. All right, Alexander. Why a contract instead of hiring directly? Well, this is the opportunity that we have before us, and so we are hiring a contractor. Will managing maintenance be included, or just a maintenance plan? Just the maintenance plan. The managing of maintenance is a capacity that the department will be building with the other departments over the course of this. So I imagine that we're looking for a consultant who will be able to help us think that through. But as the funds that we have secured right now will end with installation. Should costs associated with programming, publicity material be included in the budget, or is that provided separately? No, those, we will have other line items for those activities. Gina, did I miss anything with that one?
No, that's a great question. They're all great questions, but all right.
Please take the next
Christina, what other scope of activities that would be considered subcontracts? Printing services for community meetings, translation services, photo documentation, Zoom account for online community meetings. How do we know what the contract position would need to provide and what the city would provide? That's a great question. There are some specs in the bid package itself. I'm going to pull that up briefly, but that question, I think, deserves a little bit more of a flush out. So I think we'll put that in the February 22nd round. We do have, as Stephanie just said, different line items for each call related to translation, printing, and community engagement. But I want to spend some time on that and flush that out by the 22nd. Unless, Stephanie, do you have anything to add?
No, yeah, I think it's probably good that we think that through, and maybe we can provide a high level summary of how the budget will be allocated as part of that. Mm-hmm. I would think, though, in terms of just thinking about community meetings, or what is the capacity that the consultant has to be able to engage Spanish-speaking stakeholders in this process, right? Is that something that you can demonstrate with your own expertise, or by bringing on a partner who might be able to work with you in those community meetings? I think that's an area where I might see a subcontractor. I think it's going to depend on your own capacity and expertise to some extent. I heard that you were looking to complete the first landmark project during this period. But you know what, Christina, I just want to say, do you want to unmute? Is there's anything else that you wanted to probe with that, or is that okay that we provide it in writing?
I think it's fine to provide it in writing.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, the total number of projects expected to be completed. Well, so there are 2 calls that are going out. There is the sidewalk project, and that we hope to award 30 artists, or 30 poets, I should say. And then we'll be working with a fabricator largely on making those stamps. But there will be multiple sites throughout the city that will need to have oversight from this project manager. The landmark public artwork is a single site. And so that is really one project, but I think there is some opportunity there to create other opportunities, programming opportunities. Again, I think community engagement is going to be really important around this. And so I hope that the project manager, we really want, exceptional candidates who are going to help do a little bit of arts education. I don't know, some of you may know Liz Keithline, and I think she always says this, I love it, that the job of an arts administrator, at least in part, is being arts educators. And so I imagine that our project manager will want to think about artist talks, think about maybe some workshops. There might be other activities that are related to the artwork development, but are not necessarily tied to the artwork itself. Does that make sense?
There are additional projects that are being developed right now that are affiliated with the capital improvement bond. In addition to the landmark public work, they all fall under the civic infrastructure category. There are 2 to 3 that are being developed, but they are not yet finalized. So within the 18 months, there will be some overlap with those other 3, I imagine. This is in terms of timeline. Our calls for the landmark work and sidewalks are going out very shortly. So this hire will be made once those calls will already be released by the time this hire is made. So it's really going to be a hit the ground running sort of support, because there will be artists submitting designs and proposals and in the queue. So I wish it was I wish it had a little bit more breathing room, but for onboarding and stuff. But like all things ACT, the show is on the road, like, so just be ready to move and fast.
Opportunities only come in bundles at ACT.
Yes.
And honestly, just like as fair warning for everyone, some of you we've worked with in the past, and you probably know this, we don't do anything alone. So I can't keep saying this enough, but you will be working with many, many, many people in many agencies and community groups if you come on board with ACT. So get ready for the connections there. Isanel, yes or no question here. I think what you're asking is that in response to this particular opportunity, that you should be demonstrating capabilities and commitment to work with the community, to support the artists and administration in the public art project. You are not, this is correct, you are not sending in specific public art project proposals. There will be calls issued, right? So the landmark public artwork and the sidewalk piece, those calls will be issued shortly. And ACT Public Art, there are other opportunities, as Gina mentioned, that we will also be issuing, but this is not that job.
I think it's also important to say that if you are employed at or in a contractual position with ACT or on the Art and City Life Commission, you cannot apply for public art calls during that time because it would be considered a conflict of interest. So just keep that in mind. If, yeah.
All right. Yes, Eliza is asking if we are doing artist selection meetings virtually and commission meetings virtually. Yes, we are. And we do intend, it's amazing actually in some part though, the Zoom world, how that has just offered a whole new set of capabilities to us. But we will be holding our meetings virtually, just to share with you guys, because you're public art administrators. As we were writing the call, you know, we really hope that there might be an opportunity to bring the short list for the landmark public artwork to the site for an actual visit. But we have also left it open to the possibility that we may be needing to provide a different kind of access to the site depending on where we are with the pandemic. So yes, you will be taking this, whoever applies for this, if you so choose, will be taking on a task in the middle of a global pandemic. And so while we are sharing with you our hopes and dreams, and beautifully, Gina has created the most beautiful spreadsheets for this project going in. But the reality is everything is subject to change. So, you know, we're building also that practice of non-attachment. All right, any other questions for us?
Does everybody feel good?
We'll take a look more closely at the, one more question here. The only project management tool that I will note the project manager will be asked to use is Asana. The City of Providence, we use that as our project management software. And that is our primary communication between departments as well. So that's a benefit if you have used Asana. And the mayor really loves it. Just as a note.
I think also just general Google and Microsoft Office suites, Excel, and callforentry.org. But yeah, Asana is the top of the list. We live in Asana. Better for worse. And I love this question.
I know. I was just going to say, I believe in the U.S. Postal Service, actually.
Yes. I love the U.S. Postal Service. I don't know about, it depends on when you drop it off at the post office. Like, I wouldn't trust it if it's like 2 days out.
I do believe in the mailroom.
This doesn't go to the mailroom. It goes straight to the clerk's office. So there's a very clear address to bring it over once you're in City Hall. You got to bring it to the clerk.
Mhm.
And don't show up at 2 o'clock. Like, come before 2:15, because if you get there at like 2:07, you're cutting it close. Like, seriously, they stamp it. So
We should also probably note, Gina and I and the department staff is primarily working remotely. So just noting that many departments are working remotely. And so if you are planning to visit City Hall, you may want to check to make sure that someone is there to receive it. Public buildings are closed on Fridays. So drop off should be, presuming that you're not going to be running over at 214 on March 1st. The drop off should be Monday through Thursday. There's also so that's it. All right, well, public procurement for the City of Providence is one of those things that is endlessly fascinating to me. But I hope that and it is rigid that we're not, I always feel like sometimes we're not sharing the full picture, but I hope that we have given you some insight into the job today, into our this opportunity. And I hope that you will consider applying. This is really an opportunity for us to build something for the City of Providence that's going to be here as part of the long legacy of the artists that have lived in our community. So yeah, it's very exciting. So I hope that we'll see applications from you all.
thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you,
Thanks.
guys.
See you all. Bye, Isa.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stephanie, I'm just copying the chat before I
Yeah.
lose it.